Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. John Oda, and thank you so much for coming to Motivational Monday. On the Motivational Monday, this is the one we get really our drive to actually break it through the whole week. We're going to focus on a book called Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading this book for the last 30 years right now. This book is phenomenal. The chapter we're going to focus on is the chapter on desire. But before we start, let me do my little commercial. Dr. John Oda. I'm what you call an ultimate business growth strategist, right? So that's a really fancy word that I do. A clinical psychologist with business growth. So I work on the mindset, I work on the symptoms of the business, and I also work on growing your company. So that's pretty much in a mindset. I work with guys, the great Tony Robbins and the late Chet Holmes and Jay Abraham, Gary Vee, and all of Tony Robbins' people in the last decade of that was actually there. And it was the most phenomenal experience ever. Of course, I did clinical psychology as well. Worked with adolescents and teens. That's pretty much my specialty. But I worked with every type of mental health possible because I wanted to learn and grow. That's my biggest goal. I got certifications in everything coming from as cognitive therapy and DBT and motivational interview, neuro-linguistic programming. I have it literally, hypnosis, I have it literally in everything, right? Because my whole goal is to learn. I might find one thing that can actually change the quality of my life. I'm an author of 2 books, wrote a book on parenting. Really, it's how parents can communication better with their kids. I also wrote a book on Life's Garden based on my father and his garden. I'm writing a new book out. It's going to be called, it's a business growth book. It should probably be out winter, maybe spring. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. I'm working on that, in fact, at nighttime. So jazzed. So that's is commercial, but here it goes. This book is amazing. I read this book about 30 years ago, and I'm telling you, every time I read this book, I think the book is either changing or I'm getting smarter. I think the book is changing, right? But the book's amazing. So we're focused on what is a burning desire to succeed. So in the first chapter, right, we talked about Barnes, right? And Barnes wanted to be business with the great Thomas Edison. And when Thomas Edison saw this guy, he said he looked like a freaking tramp. But here's what Barnes had a challenge with was. First, he was coming from a long distance. He didn't have any money at all. So when he had to come, he had to take a train. But not like a train that you sit in the front. He was in the cargo. Who would go a couple of thousand miles back in the 1900s in the freaking cargo? So he was with whatever crap of that they're shipping there. And that's how he got there. The second thing, he did not know Edison at all. So he had a couple of different things about it, but what he said was, if I can work for him, my whole life would change. If I can work for him, I'll be partners with him. And it took him 5 years. When he just got hired, he was sweeping floors. He was a janitor. He was a mailroom. He did everything else except for be partnership with Edison. But in his mind, in his thinking, he was like, I'm working with him. I'm working with him. That was his goal. That was his focus. He blocked off all the negativity. Or else the naysayers, sometimes our family mean a lot of things to us and they want us to succeed, but they tell us to don't do it. And have you ever had that gut feeling that you should do it? And you listen to somebody else and you don't, and someone else is doing it for you? It happens to a lot of people. But he said, no, I'm going to work with them. So then Edison had this crazy machine that his people said is not going to sell. Barnes said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. And Barnes said, I'll do this. I'll sell it. But I wanted to sell it nationally. And he did. He made it into things of $4 to $5 million back in the 1920s and 30s. Do you know how much money that is? That's crazy amount of money. But he thought he thought he had the burning desire to succeed. How many people would go 5 years for a goal or a dream. When you can't see nothing happening, challenges is not taking place. Who would do that? Very few people. That's why there's very few barns out there. The next thing that they talked about in the book on desire, they had this great warrior. He was going to fight this big army. So let's say his army was 2,000, the foe was 10,000. And he was pumping up his troops saying, we're going to kick some butt, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. He said, yes, yes, yes. But here's what he did. He said, listen to me. We're going to burn our ships. We're going to win, or we're going to perish. Of course they won. Why? Because they had that burning desire. See, when you have that burning desire, you must cut off everything. A lot of people, they don't do that. A lot of people say, you know, if I don't get this, I'll do this. Well, that's not desire. That's just wishing. And a lot of us just wish, right? You got to cut off all sources of retreat. It's either this or nothing. Very few people did that. Sylvester Stallone did that. I mean, there's very few that did, but listen to me, there's very few of these people around as well. Wishing is not going to get you wishes. We all want to be a millionaire, a billionaire, right? We want to have a Ferrari, we want to have a private jet. We all want that, right? But that's a wish. Are we doing the right activities? And do we have that burning desire to cut off everything to make it happen? And very few people would do that, right? Then they also mentioned in the concept in Chicago, they had the Great Fire. A lot of retailers lost a lot of their business. A lot of the retailers said, we're not going to stay here, we're leaving. We can't do this no more, right? One guy said, bull BS. On this spot, I'm going to build the biggest store ever. If you've ever been to Chicago downtown, you guys probably heard of Marshall Fields. And Marshall Fields is going strong for the last 100+ years. Because he had a burning desire. He cut off everything to make sure that he's going to actually hit his outcome. And there's very few people, but here it goes. To get your burning desire. Remember what we talked about in chapter 1, right? In chapter 1, hold on, let me see. I know where am I at? Here it goes. In chapter 1, right, we talked about having a game plan. And this we're going to, so for the desire method, fix in your amount the exact amount of money that you want, right? It could be, if you're making 100,000 right now, and it could be 250,000, right? Whatever it is, and remember, and here's what I tell people, when you set these goals, make it big, make it bodacious, make it like, yes, you can actually take care of that stuff. Because you want something that's big, that you can actually work for. And I tell people make 10,000 and people make 100,000, you're going to do the same amount of work, to be truly honest with you. So you might as well go for the gusto. Determine the exact what you intend for the return of the money. Establish a definite date. I do mine every 10 years. Every year is too quick because things happen every year. We have deaths, we have COVID-19, we have a lot of different things going, but I go for every 10 years where I want to be at. Create a definite plan and do it and live it and become it. Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount. And here's the thing about it. Read these times twice a day. Morning time, nighttime. Every morning when I wake up, I look at mine and I read it. You know, it's a must. Be 6, 7 o'clock, I read it again. Because if I wait a little bit too long, it's not going to happen. All right? But here's a question I have for you guys. What's a money conscious? Right? A money conscious to me is saturating yourself with your desires, having an obsession to get your outcome, to get your exact amount of money. Having that assumption to talk about it, to want it. Have you guys ever had a goal or a dream and you wanted a car, right? When you want a car, what did you do? You do like most people, right? You tell everybody, I'm going to get this car. 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 You tell everybody, right? Everybody you see, you get all your friends, tell all your people. You show them, right? You visualize it, right? You drive it, right? You make it into a freaking obsession, right? And what happens? You get it. But here's the question that I have for you. Why don't you do that for money? Why don't you have a burning desire to do that for money? I'm not sure. Money conscious, I believe that you have to be on the right vibration to attract money. So that way the fear and the stress and the worry have to be out. Why? Because you have to attract it. You have to be in the same vibration for it. Right? And when you do these things, your whole world would change. Right? So here's the question that I have is for you. The list that I just went over, are you going to go over it? Are you going to do this? Or are you going to hope about it? Are you going to think about it? Are you going to wish about it? And you guys going to actually hope somehow in some way it's going to take place? I challenge you. I challenge you to create a burning obsession, a desire for obtaining what you want in life. Guys, this chapter is done. Our next chapter is going to be on faith. Till next time, take care. Always God bless. Bye for now.